Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope all of you are doing well. So, what better way to spend a just cloudy and wet, rainy day here in Florida? No better than to spend time doing a movie review. So, that's what I'm going to be doing. I am going to be reviewing Death Wish 3, which was released in 1985, 3 years after the second film was released. So this film, we kind of step away from that grittiness, that 70s grittiness, and we start to go more into the B action type film. And this has kind of taken away from the first two films and it still has the same formula, but things are just slightly a little different. So, of course, Charles Bronson returns. Reprising his role as Paul Kersey. He returns to New York to visit an old friend of his in this apartment complex. And unfortunately, he does find his friend on the ground and apparently has been attacked. And sadly, he does pass. But when he goes to check on him, the same time he's checking on him, the police show up and he's accused of, killing his friend. So, of course, he has to tell the main lead detective, who you guys will recognize. I can't remember the actor's name, but you will recognize his face. I think the actor sadly has passed, but he's been a character actor. He's been in tons of films. But basically, him and Paul have this conversation. Paul tells him it's not him. And, the detective realizes that he is, in fact, the vigilante, and knows, after a few events in the film. So, he's Paul's kind of being watched, making sure he doesn't do anything stupid. And while he's at this apartment complex, he starts to befriend the local neighbors. And I like the neighbors; they all have like their unique personalities, and they really. They really tend to have a really good friendship with Paul while he's at this complex. And I believe, and do not quote me on this, but I do believe it is mentioned to them that he was the vigilante, because after the first two events, he kind of decided to just, you know, he was done. He wanted to focus just having a life and then come to New York to visit his friend. And with all these events happening, well, we do eventually have a villain of the film, a big boss, bad guy, whatever you want to call it, who is kind of the one in charge of all these criminals. So when we find out that one of the neighbors, his wife, has been assaulted, uh it's up to Paul and his new friends or allies to take down this kingpin of some sort, whatever you want to call him, and his crew. And you just get nothing but cheesy B action fun. That's the way I'm gonna put it. And yeah, it's going away from the different direction that the first two films had, but it still works. It still has that great music, that great grittiness music. Of course, it doesn't have the same grittiness like the first two films, now that we're expanding more into the story, and it's not just about his family who was attacked. Now it's people around him. And first and foremost, I think the chemistry between, Charles Bronson's character Paul Kersey and the residents in this complex, I think works great. He really befriends them and basically does everything he can to protect them. One of the characters I do like is the neighbor whose wife, becomes the latest victim. I do like that character because he seems to be, more of the laid back, almost like comedy relief in some way. And I think his chemistry with Charles Bronson, I think, worked. I wish that character maybe would have progressed in the other films as like a backup or a help for Paul in future films, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. Um, but it's still a fun sequel. I feel like as we continue these movies, and they're not, yeah, they may step away from the formula that the first two films had with that grittiness, but they just seem to get better with the action, and makes the character of Paul Kersey, just more menacing, and makes him a lot more intelligent as he progressed through these films. And that's what I love about this character, is just you know he's becoming smarter, and more aware and everything throughout the films. But at this point, you kind of realize now that it's in the open to some extent that he is in fact the vigilante. And of course, the police, the lead detective, doing whatever he can to make sure that Paul stays in line and doesn't do anything that could jeopardize him, excuse me, in some way. So I like that, and I like the fact that they're not, the main detective is not going to, you know, um, is not going to arrest him, even though he knows about him being that vigilante. One, it's in a different. Well, no, actually, it was in New York. I apologize on that. It just he nobody else knows. And the fact that he kind of has moved on with his life gives another reason why. And with really no main evidence, they can't really do a whole lot. And of course, I believe we do meet the so and so called love interest of this film, which I'm not going to say anything because there's this ongoing theme for the last three films in the series with the love interests that he has. If you know, you know. Why they do that, I don't know. I think that just draws more fuel to the fire for the character of Paul Kersey. But nonetheless, it's just a really fun sequel. Yes, it's over the top, but in a good way. It's a very fun B action drama, whatever you want to call it. And of course, Charles Bronson, once again, is a badass. You can never go wrong with Charles Bronson. Of course, I do feel like as we progress throughout these films, it seems to me that he starts to get, what's the term I'm looking for? Typecast. Not stereotype, typecast. Because, a lot of actors tend to have a role and then they're just typecast as pretty much the same character through other films. It's happened to Jonah Hill. One of the reasons why he decided to, drop his weight and put, go towards more serious roles. Now, I'm sure the weight didn't have, a part played a part in that, but I'm sure some of it did to some extent. But there's a lot of actors who, try to progress away from that. I mean, look at what's his name, Seth Rogen. He's trying to do that. We all see him as a comedic actor, but I think now he doesn't want to get typecast. He's trying to avoid that, and that's why he's picking up a lot of these roles. Yes, some are comedy, but they have more of that drama aspect. And I feel like a lot of actors are trying to go that route, and you can definitely. You know, you can definitely see it in some extent, especially with the Death Wish films. If you watch some other films, because I mean that's kind of what he was known for, were these action B movies, and or there's drama in it too. So I guess in a way you could say drama action type films, but throughout a lot of his films, it just feels like you're watching a unnamed Death Wish film to some extent. That is, so I will point that out. But nonetheless, I wish I could say more. But I hope you guys enjoyed my review and my thoughts on Death Wish 3. Just a really fun sequel and just a fun third installment into the franchise. And it was successful enough in its own way to give us a fourth film in the series, and a fifth, which I will be reviewing next. So, if you've seen this movie, I would love to hear what you guys thought of this, and let me know which favorite Death Wish film of yours that you like. What is your all-time favorite? I'll let you guys know once I finish my series of reviews. But nonetheless, thank you guys for tuning in. And just give you guys a closer look at the DVD. I love the artwork on here. I think it's pretty cool. It's not anything too, uh, out there. Unfortunately, these older DVD releases did not have any. They didn't have any special features. A lot of films were like that under the MGM title, label. There's the disc. I would have liked to see, a lot of these older DVD releases have some type of features, but they did end up saving those for some Blu-ray releases. I don't think all of them, but Death Wish 3 and of course the other two that I have reviewed are available not just on DVD but on Blu-ray. Some are available overseas. So if you love the films and you don't have them in your collection, there are options out there that you guys can take the opportunity and pick up if you're looking to add them to your collection. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to comment. If you enjoyed, give it a thumbs up. It's much appreciated. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content. And if you guys would like to check out my eBay store, the link will be, of course, down in the description. I'm Film Talk with Mikey, and until next time, guys, we'll talk films. You guys have a good one. Take care, and I will see you guys next time.